I want to go over all of the percussion instruments that we would do in fifth grade band. If you sign up to be a percussionist, you would be studying more than one instrument. You don't get to pick which instrument you want. We start with both the bell set and the snare drum, but percussion is a very wide category of instruments. It's a very large instrument family, and it basically means anything that you would strike to create sound. So there are other instruments that we would also branch off into once we get going, especially if we're in a larger ensemble, such as cymbals that you see over here. We have different kinds of cymbals, and also bass drum that you see over here. The common thing between all percussion instruments is that you use something, most likely a drumstick or a mallet, to strike the instrument. Okay? We start in fifth grade with the bell set, which looks like a keyboard or a piano. Okay? And when we do the bell set, we're going to be learning how to read notes, just like a flute or clarinet or saxophone player would. And we would be using mallets, which are drumsticks that have rubber balls on the end. And then we also move on to the snare drum, which a lot of you think of when you think of percussion. And you would use drumsticks to play the snare drum. We would go over the proper technique of how you hold them, things called rudiments, which are skills that are specific to percussionists. So we would go back and forth. When you were doing the bell set, you would be learning to read notes and read rhythms. When you were doing the snare drum, there are no different notes in the sense of letter names, so you wouldn't be learning to read notes. You'd be working on reading rhythms and your snare drum technique. When you are a percussionist, you are doing both the snare drum and the bell set to start off, and you do not pick one or the other. So I want to make sure that's really clear. If you are a percussionist, I require that you have a bell set, a snare drum, or a drum pad. We use drum pads in class in the beginning, especially. Most likely, I will not have you bring your snare drum to school. It's just too much stuff. You also have to have your own set of sticks. So whether you are renting or borrowing, you must have your own set of mallets, your own set of drumsticks, and then you rent the bell set, the percussion pad, and the snare drum, or you borrow the bell set and the percussion pad from the school.